Okay, we are on the air, or whatever the internet equivalent is of that. On the cords, on the wires. That doesn't sound as cool, does it? That doesn't quite work. Welcome to the stream. Just checking my technical details here as usual. So hopefully everything looks and sounds okay. There are ongoing issues with internet service, so you're probably going to see some macro blocking in the stream just whenever the bitrate drops. And unfortunately, there's very little I can do about that right now. But hey, if you want to hang out regardless, you're very welcome. Thank you very much for coming by or for watching the stream after the fact. I really appreciate that. Yeah, we look fine. Looks fine. How's it going? Don't worry, this black rectangle will have that filled in a second with the iPad here. But yeah, here we are. We're doing stuff. Things are happening. Adjust that just a little bit. And if you're wondering what this giant orb is over here, there is an explanation. It actually looks a little bit better on camera on this bad webcam than it does here in real life. But this is a foam ball. And basically, there's this product called the Chaotica eyeball, I think it's called. And basically, it's a ball that fits over your microphone, the head of the microphone. And basically, that it's supposed to eliminate a certain amount of room noise. It's basically a tiny little noise isolation thing for your microphone, as opposed to having a big soundproof room. However, they cost like $200 or $300. So I was like, no. Looked around online, and some people were like, you can just kind of make one out of a ball. So I tried to do that yesterday. It's working okay. It actually does sound better than not having anything on the mic. However, it looks kind of stupid, and it takes up a lot of space on the screen. Hopefully not when I record with the camera, but for regular videos. But anyway, that's what that is, and hopefully the audio sounds decent. Basic Geek, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. And Geek says, I'm saving up to buy a $300 Spartan Warrior armor replica. Oh my. Can you put a link in the chat? Does YouTube let you do that? So that we can actually take a look at it? I don't know if they allow links or not. I'm not sure. Plus a Greek flag. I'm not from Greece. Okay, so it's just related to the just the overall pastiche you're going for. You're getting into the historical stuff. Is that sort of the main motivation? I mean, it's fine. I don't think the Greek flag on its own is like especially controversial or anything. I don't think that's a problem. Certain other national flags I do think would be considered controversial. So go for it. That I think that works out a-okay, if that's what you want to do. Yeah. As for the armor replica, I assume not life size, right? That would probably be significantly more expensive. But that's neat. That's neat. I mean, I haven't done a ton of stuff in terms of like collectibles, like little figures or anything, or I mostly just have some old toys that I remembered from growing up, and every once in a while I'll hop onto eBay and I'll be like, what was that one thing from Bionicle that I used to have and it got lost a long time ago? I'll do stuff like that. But rarely do I do like figures or more collectible, high quality stuff. So I don't have too much to share on that front, but I do think it's neat. And hey, as long as you don't need the money for other stuff, that's a-okay. What if it goes here? Then it's out of the frame, and I think we still have okay quality. Should be fine. It should be fine. But anyway, how you doing? How you doing, Geek? What's up? Those are the big news items lately. Working a part-time job or something to get those funds going. There's a better way to route this. Cable management is an ongoing project here. That kind of works. Okay. I was just messing around with some digital art stuff here, so I just figured as long as we have a visual. Although if anybody's has specific suggestions for videos and stuff, that is technically the premise of the stream. So feel free to mention specific, either if there are shows that you would like me to potentially take a look at, or movies, or just topics that you feel would be relevant to the channel, and that you want to put in as a suggestion. Go for it. You're totally welcome to. You can also do that in the form of a comment after the fact, after the stream is all done, if you would like. So we've got options. But anyway, I wanted to put that out there. I feel like I did that maybe once before a long time ago, and I just said, hey, what's some stuff that people would like to see? But even if I did do it, it was a very long time ago. And I just feel like it's something that I would like to do more often, basically. So yeah, anyway. What can we do here? Should we try to do something with this band? What if we do super low opacity smudging? I'm trying to get like a sort of haze around the... see, that's too much then. Then I'm losing that line. How about here? What does that look like? Not great, but it's kind of what I was thinking. This is a bar of sunlight. I decided it would be nice if instead of a circle of sunlight, a globe, we have just kind of a line, just like a column of sunlight going on. Although the in practice, using it as lighting for anything is it's a mixed bag so far. But that's just because I don't know what I'm doing. Kind of. I want to like taper it or feather it a little bit. Anyway, so yeah, how's everybody doing? What's been going on? What have I been working on? Oh yeah, I am working on a video actually at the moment. Not quite the second, but generally I have been working on a video that is... Yeah, I don't think I need to save it up as a surprise or anything. Basically, I'm working on a video about the Switch. It's about the Nintendo Switch. It's kind of like a personal retrospective of the Switch, basically, where I instead of looking at like, oh, this was the impact of the Switch as a whole, and it's a whole thing, just super personal, super individual, and say, well, this is how I got into it. Here's why I thought it would be neat, and here's what it became to me over time. So we'll see. I don't know if anybody will be interested in that concept, but it's definitely something that it's an idea that I like a lot better than the previous video that I was working on that I just didn't end up finishing. So hopefully pretty soon I will have that done, although it is a pretty big editing project. So who knows? Who knows exactly when that's going to be actually finished. But yeah, I am kind of excited about it. So that's in the works. About this. And then we're going to smudge these colors together and see what we get. I don't know if this is a good idea or not. Anyway, Geek says, a kid in my film study class said, Fantastic Mr. Fox is a metaphor for Nazi Germany. Well, this is something, because for anyone who wasn't here for the previous stream, last Saturday, I guess it was, we were talking about how Geek here has been in a class that's just going over a bunch of Wes Anderson movies, I guess, or part of a film class is these Wes Anderson movies. And we also talked about how every movie, every piece of media, especially entertainment media, is highly interpretable, right? And that it's not like there's a right and a wrong answer to all this stuff. Oh, sorry for hitting the mic. And so it's fine, and I appreciate when people feel compelled to comment on stuff and to interpret movies and shows and whatever. That said, I don't necessarily disagree with that interpretation of Fantastic Mr. Fox. I guess it seems a little bit simplistic to me, just based on my own perspective. But that's just because, I mean, it still works. It works as an interpretation, and I'm guessing that the core of that argument is identifying power disparity, right? So we have one group, in the case of this movie in particular, at the surface level, it's the humans, or the human farmers more specifically, and they are essentially oppressing violently and hunting down another social group, we could call it, another race, we could say, another class, potentially, right? And yeah, just oppression all around on top of just straight up violence. So yes, that works. That was very much part of the Nazi MO. Am I even allowed to say that word on the stream without getting demonetized? I guess we'll find out. Anyway, that was very much a thing. That's fine. But that said, if that is the premise of the argument, then we can very easily open it up to many other interpretations that rely on the same basic power disparity, right? We can easily say that in a less creative interpretation, we could say, oh, well, it's kind of just like real life and all those movies in the 80s and 90s that were about like developers and stuff, or just human business people ruining the environment and destroying forests and stuff. I'm thinking Fern Gully. I'm thinking Dr. Dolittle 2 with Eddie Murphy. There were tons and tons of movies in that vein. So that works as an interpretation, potentially a much more literal interpretation of the story, but it still works just fine. But yeah, basically any historical or contemporary situation where there's a disparity of power, we can easily say that it fits, right? That we can interpret that as this is what Fantastic Mr. Fox is really about. So anyway, I hope it sparked some interesting discussion in the class there, Geek. I hope people got some mileage out of that one. I hope the teacher was able to wrangle in the discussion. That might have been a bit of a challenge. But anyway, yeah. So good for them. I really do like when people interpret anything at all, and they're flexing those muscles all of a sudden, right? And figuring things out for themselves. I really enjoy that, especially at a slightly younger age. I mean, certainly younger than me, but that's neat. How about you, Geek? Did you have a specific interpretation, or like, were you guys writing essays about it or anything? Did you have your own take on how to interpret the story, or were you just more interested in like the filmmaking, the character dynamics, the writing, anything like that? Simplistic. Just kind of creating some curves here. I wonder if I've ever... Have I talked about... I don't think I've ever made a video just about Fantastic Mr. Fox. I guess I kind of saw it as like beating a dead horse to a certain extent. It's just everybody loves that movie, and so many people on YouTube have already talked about it. I guess I just figured it wasn't quite worth it for me. But anyway, there's that. Geek says, okay, elaboration here. Let me give his explanation. The three villains are Germany, Italy, and Japan. Okay, gotcha. Axis powers. And every one of the animals represents a different group. The fox family are Jews. The badger is gay. Everyone else is random. Whoops. Well, it kind of falls apart at that point, doesn't it? If you're gonna say it's a more specific allegory, right, which is what's being communicated here, then everything has to have a specific correlation, right? As opposed to, well, I thought of a couple, and then the other stuff, I don't know. Although we could easily assign more, because of course the Germans of that time period in political power were persecuting basically everybody. Yeah, LGBT color, any person of color in Germany, basically, right? Anyone of mixed race, even, right? So we could fill out a longer list. I mean, I still think it's a perfectly fine interpretation and argument. That's okay. But yeah, and I guess what it makes me think of in terms of other examples of like straight allegory, and this is not a case of interpretation this time around, but rather an instance where we know for sure that the original artist had these specific intentions for allegory, is of course Animal Farm, another one that's required reading in plenty of American schools, at least. I don't know how widely it's taught elsewhere. But anyway, Animal Farm specifically, I'm pretty sure that at some point Orwell kind of confirmed to some degree, or that it was clear enough that every single animal who comes to represent, together they represent the burgeoning Communist Party in Soviet Russia, that every single one of them is supposed to represent a specific historical figure that was part of that movement. So that would be an example of more specific allegory. Every single little thing lines up, as opposed to a more broad interpretation of Animal Farm, which is like, oh, this is what happens in scenarios where one group has a greater degree of power. Anyway, I'm rambling a little bit, but I do think it's fun to talk about. Basic Geeks, I did my essay on the color palette. Oh, very cool. I mean, that's definitely a very fun thing to talk about with all Wes Anderson movies, but I personally feel that Fantastic Mr. Fox is like the go-to example of the signature Wes Anderson palette, specifically. Well, and I'm sure you had this in the essay as well, Geek. But that movie in particular is almost 100% complementary color palette, right? So opposite. Why can I not get both hands in frame? Opposite sides of the color wheel, right? Are the complementary colors. So yeah, that really rich, warm, burnt umber, orange color, in that range anyway. And then the just very stark, the very cool blues, of course, and not an uncommon palette, of course, in just the wider space of filmmaking or graphic design, of course, or the visual arts. But I do really like the execution of that in that movie. I think it's a fantastic looking movie. And at the same time, I do think we get certain moments of more desaturated palette, right? I don't know if it's a progression that, like, as they enter into the human spaces, like the farms and underneath the farms and the sewers and such, maybe it gets desaturated a little bit. I haven't watched it for a little while, so I don't quite remember. But that's my general feeling. So that would be kind of neat. But what do you got? You want to copy paste the essay into the chat, or would that be too much? Maybe don't offer it up to all of the internet, or the 10 people who will see it there. That's cool. And then, yeah, what are some other Wes Anderson movies that have that really killer color palettes and art direction? Grand Budapest Hotel, I think over time has definitely become one of my favorite for color, and it was obvious upon release too. It wasn't like something that I realized over time what the palette was, but rather just I started to like the palette more and more for some reason, and that so much of it is pastels and just based on like pastry. Really sort of decadent, ornate pastry, and I would be interested to hear the behind the scenes on that. You know, if good old Wes at some point did some commentary where he was like, "Oh, well, I was in a particular part of Europe and just hanging around, and yeah, there's a particular bakery, and I tried some other stuff, and a lot of it was pink, or all they had was pink." Or if it was just a more original thing, like, I like this palette, seems neat. I talked to an art director or something. Either way, I really like the colors of that movie. And that's definitely a situation where in the more public spaces, so like the little villages or on the train or en route to other locations outside of the hotel, I do think it's much more gray and not simplistic, but yeah, certainly desaturated as compared to the world of the hotel when it's vibrant and alive. The colors reflect that very clearly. And then as the hotel declines, of course, not only does the palette shift, I love the 70s color palette where it's like orange and brown in the hotel later on. But as it continues to fall apart, just loses color completely, and it's kind of sad in that way. Geek says it was a 5-page, 300K words. You mean 300,000 words? No, I don't think you can fit that on 5 pages. I think it was I'm guessing it was a 3,000 word piece, but I still like to think that it was 300,000 words, because that is very impressive. And I would very much, I would actually want to check that out very much so. But yeah, don't worry about it. I was kind of joking about pasting it there. Also, hi Purple, how's it going? Good to see you. I feel like it's been a couple streams, and sorry again for changing the time around. Part of it is scheduling, and part of it is internet bandwidth, because as I learned, I was scheduling basically all of my streams for peak hours, and a bunch of people were using the internet, and that's not a great idea if you want it to run smoothly. So that's one of the changes I've made to try to improve things a little bit. But either way, it looks like, no, I was about to say we're doing okay, but no, the bit rate just plummeted all of a sudden. Well, let's try to remove some more devices. Oh my gosh. Affordable. Someone's texting me about the new Sony Walkmans. And if the visuals are just so bad on here, just a podcast all of a sudden. It will just become a podcast, and that's fine too. Or maybe it'll make my little digital artwork here look more interesting, blurring and blending everything together. Anyway, what's up, Purple? What's been going on? Also, I don't know if I ever mentioned, but I really like your more recent profile photo there. It's pretty neat. What is your profile photo, Basic Geek, by the way? It's so tiny on my screen that I feel like I would recognize it if it was larger, but I'm also just not sure. He says, I liked how Isle of Dogs didn't have subtitles for the Japanese characters, except for the one part it really fits with the story. I agree, and another way in which it contributes, not just to the story, but also our perspective, our POV, because our POV characters in there are the dogs specifically, right? I mean, we do have some scenes without dogs, of course, but for the most part, we're with the dogs. We are speaking their language in a sense. It makes sense that if that's our perspective for the movie as an audience, that we don't get all of the human language, and not only that, but it also kind of confirms a sense of being an outsider to Japanese culture, which Wes Anderson is, which most of his team is, of course, and I feel that kind of contradicts some of the criticism I was hearing at the time of release of Isle of Dogs, where people like it feels kind of appropriative because it is so indulgent, not only in certain aspects of Japanese culture, but also references to Japanese filmmaking and stuff, music from Japanese filmmaking. So anyway, I think it works on multiple levels. I think it contributes quite a bit. So yeah, totally agree on that. Basic Geek says it was 300K or 3,000 because I went scene by scene. Every scene is sometimes individual frames. Oh my gosh. Wow, that actually sounds pretty cool. I don't know if I ever used um, photos or images in my school essays, and I think it was because they always measured the length by um, pages as opposed to word count. For some reason, we never did word count. I don't know why. That would make so much more sense as opposed to it has to be 2 or 3 pages, double spaced, 12-point font, you know. And so we would find all those finicky ways to get around that and to inflate what we'd already written. Um, so yeah, I think for that reason, if we had actually included photos, the teachers would have been like, "Excuse me, no, you can't just you can't just fill up half a page with some images." But in this case, yeah, no, totally makes sense to have screenshots from the movie. I think that's great. It actually sounds like a fun class. I kind of do wish that we had something um, similar when I was in school. There might have been some kind of film class in high school that they offered. They didn't have a lot of interesting electives. It was mostly just like, here are the AP classes for language and sciences and math, and there you go. Not so much just based on general interest, you know? Um, anyway, what are we doing? I guess we're just messing around with colors here. Just having some fun with it. Basic Geek says it's from Lego Monkey Kid. Oh, I don't know that. I'm assuming that's one of the original Lego things. Is there a show as well? I assume there would be a show. Cool. I mean, I even at the small scale, I like the photo. I think it's pretty cool. Hey, Issa. Hey, it's been a while. It's good to see you back. How have you been? Issa says, "Will you ever become a marketable plushie?" I don't think so. Certainly not me. Not this. None of this is going anywhere. But that is a thing, isn't it? I was watching some She Says videos recently. He does Boundary Break show where he does stuff with video game cameras. Um, he is a plushie. Some other really big YouTubers have plushies and stuff. And yeah, a lot of them are just of the person, like a cartoon version of the person, as opposed to like a logo or something. There are those two, of course. Um, but I don't know. I think my only shot, well, for one thing, if the channel ever became popular, I guess that's requirement number one. That's the big prerequisite. But beyond that, I feel like it would have to be one of the little, one of the little characters or logo things that I've put in videos and stuff. I don't think. I mean, imagine a plushie of me would just look like some guy. There would be, I feel like there would be very little to actually distinguish it from just, it would just be like, who is it? It's just a guy? Why do you just have a plushie of just some guy? What's that all about? Um, hmm. 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 Can we actually do something with this? Can we make this into some fun little thing? He says, "Who's my favorite Sonic character?" Wow, what a loaded question. I had no idea you were going to be coming out here with the heavy hitters. Oh, good, we have more trucks joining the stream. Favorite Sonic character from any era, or does it have to be like the solid core cast, not characters from the spin-offs or different shows or comics? Does it have to be like one of the regular guys? Because that's probably all I can actually think of. Because I'm certainly not the hugest Sonic fan, so I don't have, I don't know every single thing. I don't know every bit of lore. And if there are different timelines and stuff, I have no idea. But yeah, like core group. I mean, for reasons of my own, I feel like Biggs the cat is a very easy answer. And if you know what I mean by that, then you know. Like, you get it, you know. I do really like, if you've ever dug deep, there's a sort of classic, sort of cringe, old YouTube video of someone ranking like the 10 hottest Sonic characters. And it's great. And then later on, Donkey did his own version of that video with the 10 hottest female Mario series characters, which is also great. Anyway, Big Cat's an easy choice. Amy, I don't know. It's so rare that I'll see an interpretation of Amy that isn't annoying. And I don't like it when she's just reduced to being annoying. That doesn't speak to me. That doesn't get me interested in the character, you know? Is it Rouge? Rouge the Bat is sort of a bad guy, but not really. She's around. I don't feel like I know enough about her to make a definitive statement. He's asked, what are you drawing? You tell me. What do you think? Do you have any guesses? / ideas? Here's the easiest. Here's my trick. Here's my cheat code. We're just cheating to make something look like something. And I think I've demonstrated this on stream before as well. Now it's a thing with eyes. So now as humans, we immediately relate more to it, especially if we give him little pupils. Look at that. What is he looking at? He's very distraught. This is a situation now. Basic Geek says, we love the coconut icon. I'm glad, because I haven't changed it in a long time. We'll hold a contest. Let's hold a contest. And the 5 people who submit new icons, they'll all be the logo. We'll just smush them into the same icon together. Now I don't see how uneven this is. Even the eyes, even my quick cheat code eyes are very janky. And now he looks cross-eyed. That's kind of fun though. I kind of like him looking dopey. What do we think? Maybe about. Oh, I messed that up immediately. And it's too thick. Here he has a little bow tie. But no, more serious thing. I've just been trying to learn more about color and using color in visual art stuff, and I'm still not very good at it. So this is just sort of a test. It's just to mess around with different color combinations. And then each specific combination we can kind of ask ourselves. I'm just parroting things other people have told me, but you know, how does each specific combination, each specific intersection of different colors make you feel? Does it create a specific mood or tone or whatever? And then potentially, if I find something that I like or, you know, I feel is effective, then I can try to do it with actual paints and materials later on. But this is just, just random, not thinking about, just having a chat. Anyway, mine is Metal Sonic. Fair enough. Any era, very open. Okay. Who, Ape? Huh? Is there an ape character in Sonic? Or did I get lost and we were talking about something else? Metal Sonic, I mean, that's totally fair. I accept that. How about Chaos? Who's the favorite villain / monster character? Basic Geek says, I love how my state, Kentucky, gets the one of the worst adult animation shows, Hoops. Well, it's set there. Do we know, was anybody involved in the making of it actually from Kentucky, or were they just like, well, it's got to be somewhere. This has to take place someplace. I'm not sure about, I don't even know if that main guy, is that still going, by the way, Hoops? I did not like Hoops. I did make a video about that a long time ago. I was not a fan of Hoops personally. I don't know how other people feel about it. But it certainly wasn't my thing. And yeah, I don't know. It just felt so much like adult animation with capital letters, you know? It's what you would expect from a pretty standard adult animation show, and not my favorite thing. That's all, you know. But I'm sure there have been plenty of good shows or movies or books or whatever, either set in Kentucky or created by someone from Kentucky. Although trying to think of them, I don't know. Can't think of any right now. Yeah, we should use less, just like pure black, right? Um, no, I don't want like brown. How about that? So now we have sort of a whole scene going here, don't we? Something's going on. Okay. What we got? Issa says, I don't know. I always sketch before coloring stuff. So no, please make the plushy through coconut. Okay. I'm sure Hoops it's not still going. The critics seem to hate it. The show maker creator is from Louisville. Oh, okay. So that's the that's the connection. Well, yeah. Do you think they knew? I don't know if it's a guy or a woman or what, but do you think they knew it was going to be bad and they were like, "Okay, let's set it in Kentucky?" Or were they thinking it was going to be really good, so that's why they set it in Kentucky? I could see either case, really. I think it would fit into either one. I went to Kentucky a long time ago. Where was I in Kentucky? I was somewhere lost in the mountain ranges, very much in the mountains. We did some stuff there. But what was the town called? It wasn't Gatlinburg. Isn't Gatlinburg in Tennessee? I think so. Yeah, I can't for the life of me remember where I actually went. And then sort of the inverse. This is also going to be a guy here. This green thing. Whoa, 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 whoa. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wrong layer, but that's okay. And then we want a slightly different color from what we had already here for sort of this object's skin color, skin, body, whatever this is. Here we go. Ew. And then we'll need another layer now since I messed up. And we'll do it like super, super pale mint kind of look. And this guy is very suspicious. Oh, this is on top of the other layers. How about I put it between those so we can go like this. Very suspicious. But now it doesn't match the other eyes. It just looks like random. What is this space over here with the like yellow off-white kind of stuff? We could do something with that, right? Anyway, sorry, I feel like I'm falling behind. Football lover. Welcome to chat/stream. It looks good, very snazzy. Yeah, well, that's the automatic effect of a bow tie. You know, got to keep that in mind. Very useful articles of clothing. Coconut plushie. Yep, it's in the works already. I'm talking to some people. We'll have some prototypes by Sunday, I guess. Geek says the only thing that I like, I guess, about hoops is the lack of hillbilly stereotypes. Don't like that stereotype. Totally fair. Yeah, I mean anything set in the American South or Even more broad is any character in a movie that has like a southern accent, like a stereotypical American southern accent, is it's just supposed to communicate right away that this character is like dumb or ignorant or something. And so they'll even do this sometimes where they have it's a movie that might be set in, like, I don't know, Arizona or like Northern California or something, and they have characters using those accents, which doesn't make a ton of sense in terms of locale, but it's supposed to be shorthand for this person's not very smart. Um, and yeah, obviously, there's not a strong in the real world. There is not a strong relationship between your accent. I don't know, intelligence, maybe cultural background, potentially, but yeah, or like The Simpsons, of course, right? With Cletus and stuff is definitely like a version of that stereotype. But anyway, um, listen here. I should have just used the black anyway. That's what I should have done. Um, Very suspicious. That's kind of fun. How we do that, and we'll do like this. A little bit of hair. How about that? Now we're getting someplace, huh? What a lovely cast of characters here. And then blue guy. What layer are we on? That's fine. Inking technical pen is fine. There. Very tired. Not into it. Loving the colors of this project. Deliverance vibes. I hope not in the image. I think referring to the stereotype. I don't think I'm trying to channel the movie Deliverance in this particular drawing, but if that is your feel on it, that's okay. Anyway, yeah, so I guess we'll have to. Has anyone checked on Hoops? Has there been confirmation of whether it still exists? Hoops show. What do we got? Oh, shouldn't have asked the internet to do that. The bitrate just dropped even further. 14% on Rotten Tomatoes, 1 season, 10 episodes. That appears to be it. Why is the bitrate so bad? The internet was doing fine earlier. It's very frustrating. I like to stream, but if without the bandwidth, you kind of just can't. You kind of just can't. And then you have someone coming in. If there's someone coming by for the first time, for example, they're just like, "Oh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Look how ugly and pixelated this the stream looks." The guy just can't. It's just not working. It's very disappointing. Well, we'll see. I'll keep checking on that. If it continues to be very, very bad, I'll wrap up sooner rather than later. I apologize about that. We're trying. Continuing. It's a continuing saga. So thanks anybody for sticking around. And again, if it's really ugly to look at, it's a podcast. It's a podcast where you just go to a different tab. Just keep the audio running. It'll be okay. Yes, referring to the hillbilly stereotype conversation. Right. I thought so. Basic Geeks is unrelated to anything, but I'm writing a novel. Oh my, very, very impressive. My inspirations are One Piece and Lord of the Rings. Wow. Wonder if it will be as long as them. Doesn't have to be. As if I'm the authority on your project here, and it definitely doesn't have to be as long as those. No, that's great. That's great. I think that's a great goal to have, especially if you already have some core characters or even just a premise outlined, I don't think it's necessary to have like a story, um, a full story outline ahead of time. And the only reason I'm talking with a slight bit of know-how here is I've published a couple books. The first one was fiction. That was a long time ago. That was like mid 2010s, and that was all fiction. And that was something that was written really quickly. I think it was maybe written in like a month or so. Um, and that was the only way it was going to happen. There were plenty of times where I'd started other projects, and I just didn't feel like it was going anywhere. I got tired of the idea later on, so I just gave up. So I found it helpful to just, okay, I have a premise, I have some characters that I feel are okay, let's just move forward with it, and that's it. Don't think about it too much. So that was helpful to me. I don't know if that concept would be helpful to you or not. Um, but yeah, even just length, it can either be a helpful consideration or it can be sort of a hindrance, because if you feel pressure based on the idea of, oh, it needs to be X number of pages long, X number of words long, then it immediately changes your mindset, I think, in terms of the creative side of things and especially execution, just in terms of sitting down to write stuff. I think it can be tricky to kind of manage that. Anyway, but very cool. If you feel comfortable sharing any of the ideas or the details, go ahead. If you're worried that somebody's gonna steal the ideas, then don't worry about it. Just it's okay. You can keep it to yourself. But yeah, really neat to hear about. I'm always happy to hear that people are happy to hear when people are getting into creative stuff, and especially taking on bigger projects. It's great, and it's great to have the motivation for that. This guy kind of looks like a peanut, and I want to do his eyes differently, but I don't quite know what to do yet. I mean, it could just be that. All of a sudden, he has a very different look from the other people here, doesn't he? it doesn't quite fit. I kind of like it, but it doesn't quite fit. Yep. Does that look bad? Just eyebrows, no eyes. How about this? I kind of like that, but now the green guy's hair looks like it's a part of Peanut Man. And that's sort of troublesome. I don't want to get those confused, What do we got here? Hope Base Geek. The only thing I have for sure right now is the lore in the ending. Okay, so you have like what do they call it? The lore keepers and stuff when people are working on games and stuff. There's like the Bible or whatever Bible of just like, oh, here's the basis for the world, here's the world building. But that's definitely a thing for writing certain genres and stuff. Anyway, lore in the ending. I'm writing the main plot now. I heard writing the ending first is good going in. Potentially. Yeah, I mean, it's very personal, but I would definitely say for certain genres, great to have the ending in mind. But yeah, very cool. I mean, it sounds like it's going pretty well so far. Very glad about that. Footballer says a peanut, that's Anya's dream guy. Referring to Anya Forger from Spy Family, which we have been watching. Well, I've been rewatching lately. I've been doing a lot of that. Wait a minute. This is not on the same layer as the green guy. Why is it? Oh, because I wasn't using the eraser. I was coloring in the yellow color. I see. Don't you worry, I've got it all figured out. Here. No, actually I want that color for the hair. Line's too thick. But yes, Anya Forger loves peanuts. So Peanut Man is sort of number one. Although I feel like she's a little bit too young for dating. That's just a personal opinion, but I think I'll stick by that. I also no longer like that these tired eye lines are in a different brush. That color, just do this. Simple, readable. Although now that one pupil really doesn't fit. Is it on this one's on this layer? Okay. How's that? This actually looks cleaner than the other one. Yeah, a little too clean, if you ask me. That's okay. Yeah, from a distance. It's okay. Geek says it's a fantasy story. It takes place after an 800-year war. Oh my gosh. That's a lot of lore to handle. That was a very long conflict. Anyway, that use steam power robots. The robots now treat the humans, elves, or S and the other races as slaves. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, I do like personally enjoy doing some lore stuff sometimes, or like world building exercises just for kicks. I don't think it's something I'm especially good at. So yeah, I definitely admire there's lots of ambition there, lots of ideas. I think that's neat. But yeah, I would be interested to see it when it's all wrapped up, when it's all finished. What do we do with this? Give him some kind of clothes. How do we make it look like clothes, though? Transition this into something a little bit cooler in terms of temperature. And then I'll smudge away and see if that gradient ruins the really flat color look that we have going with the rest of it here. Oh, hold on. Merge down. There we go. I need it on the same layer as the other green. Anyway, Football says if she could have a plushie, she would want this Peanut Man, referring back to Anya. Yeah, maybe she'll just be into Mr. Peanut. Does Mr. Peanut exist in the world of Spy Family? Football also says, how many hours of sleep would you say Blue Man got the night before? If he's a performing member of the Blue Man group, I would say he was up all night, because those guys are super popular with whoever they're into. I don't know their preferences, but I feel like they would have some things to do around nighttime. Just a hunch. I don't know. I don't know them personally. Yeah, I don't know. I could be using a different smudgy tool, but whatever. We'll experiment with another one after we get this blended a little bit. But yeah, for introducing this gradient, then all of a sudden we would have, we have to do it for all the other guys too. Give some more depth, etc. Kind of. I mean, it looks kind of weird that the gradient doesn't really continue all the way up to the head area up there, but we'll see. We're just messing around. It's okay. This is not serious business. So yeah, what have people been watching? What's been going on? Watching anything good? Have you been playing anything good that I should hear about? I know that there's the spring Steam sale is on right now. It's not as big as like the semi-annual Steam sales, but it's still pretty good. I grabbed a couple things for the Steam sale. What did I get? I mostly wanted stuff for the Steam Deck. So I was going after games that I just haven't really... Big games that I haven't really touched, or that I don't tend to finish. I'll start them and I can't finish them very well. So I got Nier Automata, which I've started multiple times and never finished. I'll try that. I got Persona 4 Golden for Steam Deck, because it's on Game Pass. but I don't play it on the TV that much, and it was made for handheld, so it just feels so much better in that format. So I got those. That's it. I feel like I'm probably done from there with the Steam sale. Apologies again. It looks like the bitrate is really tanking. So sorry that this probably just looks like an impressionist mess. Maybe we should hype that up. Maybe we should like indulge. See? Now we have a new perspective on this. I see it one way, but anyone watching the stream sees it as a mess of just pixels and blur and junk. Anyway, so this is this. I don't know. We could potentially add gradients. It would certainly add something to the piece. What was I going to do next? I feel like I had an idea and then I just completely just gone. Maybe I need some more coffee. Something with the brown. I don't know what this brown spot is supposed to be. It's just kind of there. Yeah, I really did have another idea for something. Oh, I was going to try a different smudge tool, a different smudge brush. And then I forgot about it. Salamanca. Nico, what does this look like? Okay, so this is a more apparent, you know, it leaves like strokes behind, sort of rectangular strokes. I kind of like that instead of the super smooth gradient stuff. It certainly gives more opportunity for texture. I could lower the opacity. That's not bad. Yeah, that might be our new smudge go-to tool. Anyway, okay. I feel like I fell behind on stuff. Yes. Blue Man Group Probs has a lot of groupies. I would assume so. What do we call them? Blue heads? Blue balls? Blue fellas? What are your thoughts on CDs? Do you think they are making a comeback? Shaq Fu is pretty fun. I haven't played Shaq Fu, but I plan to, so I can't speak to that. I think you're referring to the remake and not the original game on the Genesis. I have not touched the Genesis one either. Thoughts on CDs are making a comeback? Well, I mean, in terms of mainstream, I don't know. I don't know about mainstream, but for a while now, CDs have actually been a pretty big thing for audiophiles. Because for a while there, they actually had really decent, I guess it would be audio bitrate, right? The sample rate. And in that vein, certain retro consoles were like really sought after just as CD players. I don't know if it was the PS1, it was potentially the PS2 or PS2 Slim that people were like, oh, this is really good just for playing CDs. So they would add that to their sound setup, would just be this little retro console. But it makes sense too that the tech of that time was optimized for that kind of technology, because that's what the media was at the time. All the games were on there. And also for many years, these systems were supposed to be multimedia systems. So this is where you watch your DVDs. This is where you listen to your music. This is where you play your games, especially for Sony. So definitely a thing. As whether it's getting bigger, and Basic Geek does have a good comment there. I find it weird. People like 15 to 20ish are getting the first wave of nostalgia. Yeah, I mean that's inevitable too. There will be a nostalgia thing, and it's also one of those formats that everybody was just ditching completely. I kept a good few CDs, but for so long now, just going into like a Goodwill or something, you can just they're nothing. Nobody cares. At least with, I don't know, like 6 or 7 years ago especially. Get them for 50 cents a pop. They're probably scratched up and in terrible condition, but everybody was just, bailing on their CD collections. They just didn't care anymore. They had much more convenient options. I don't listen to CDs very, very often. But hey, if you're nostalgic for it, if you are particular about sound quality and you're not into vinyl, you don't have a good way to get FLAC files of stuff, then it's, totally fine. Go for it. I have no issue with that. I can't say whether I will be getting back into CDs. And the other tricky part is that, okay, vinyl had its big resurgence originally from the hipsters and then more so into the mainstream. So new releases from big labels and plenty of indie labels are all of a sudden getting their vinyl presses, right? Simultaneous release with the digital album. Obviously, that's still a pretty big thing, even for people who are not so much in the hipster community, if that community even still exists. Anyway, so there's that. I don't know at what volume labels are printing CDs of new releases. And I also worry a little bit about the longevity of the discs. Like we said earlier, so many of them get scratched up. Mine got scratched up all the time. So I don't know. It is an interesting question, though. And yeah, if it's a nostalgia thing, that's okay. We also had a slight resurgence of cassettes, and especially for like underground music people, cassettes remain a pretty good option, and that is because it's one of the cheapest ways to create and distribute physical copies of your music, as opposed to vinyl. Vinyl is much more expensive to produce. CDs, not crazy expensive, of course, but also maybe not as appealing to your fans, your buyers. Tapes, fun, super small form factor, and plenty of people will get them just as like a piece of memorabilia, right? Maybe they'll get it signed by the band or something. Did I ever make tapes? I don't think so. I guess I made some own. I never like sold tapes of my music, but definitely made some tapes. I've bought some tapes too. Sub Pop for a while there was creating tapes of their new releases. I don't know whether they still did that, but they did that for some Father John Misty stuff. They did that for some Car Seat Headrest stuff. Anyway, so yeah, I like tapes too. I wish I had a car with a tape deck in it. I kind of prefer that to like a CD changer or something in a car. Anyway, but yeah, it's an interesting topic. I'm interested to see where that goes. if it really does make sort of a genuine comeback. But yeah, anyway. Football says I've been seeing some future. I've been seeing some people playing the Spider-Man Miles Morales game with it being on the Steam sales. Resident Evil 7 is also on sale. VR Half-Life is on sale. Tempting. It is tempting if you can get it to run. Then yes, it is tempting. But yeah, Half-Life Alyx is still the VR killer app years on. It's the best VR game. Nobody's touched it. Yeah, Spider-Man Miles Morales is there, as well as the other Spider-Man remastered game from Sony that they somewhat recently put on Steam. Both of which I've heard pretty good things about. I never really got into the Spider-Man games. But yeah, those are pretty good in terms of reviews and streaming and stuff. It's pretty popular. All of the Resident Evil stuff is on super sale right now because they're prepping for the release of RE4 Remake, of course. But yeah, the older games get so cheap, like $10, $5, $7. You can get the what were they called? The Resident Evil Revelations games, which I think were originally for the 3DS, and then they later released them for other consoles. You can get those for like $2. Like, those are super, super cheap. But yeah, Capcom, who publishes Resident Evil, recently had a presentation, kind of like the Nintendo Directs. So as part of that, they were like, and by the way, the games are on sale. Please buy them if you haven't bought these games already. But yeah, there's a VR version of Resident Evil 7. There's a VR version now of Resident Evil 8, but only on PlayStation VR 2, which was just released and is very expensive. But yeah, it's out there, you know. If people want to try them out, they're pretty darn accessible. Why am I getting green here? Am I on the wrong layer? No, I shouldn't be messing with this green stuff at all, but somehow it's interfering. That's annoying. Oh well. Okay. Yeah. Are we still in Potato Land? Yep, we are. Yep. Yeah, we're still in Potato Land stream. That's okay. I'm just going to accept it. Just gonna stick with it for now. Don't know why. I choose any time of day. I was like, it should be better now. Not as many people are using the internet. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This gradient is a bit much, a bit out of hand. But we can soften it up, potentially. Wow, totally different vibe now, huh? Yeah, very different feel. Okay, okay. Anyway, but yeah, sorry if it does stay this bad, I'll stop streaming somewhat soon. Maybe a little after 3 my time, I'll give up. But anyway, yeah, I still don't know why we're getting the green. I think it's just because I'm going over the green on the lower layer, but then why am I picking up green? Like that should not be happening. That's not right. I am personally offended by whatever layer issue is happening right now. Oh, this looks okay. We definitely have some more depth there. It looks a little bit more three-dimensional. Anyway, Basic Geek says, I'm moving soon. Thinking about starting a band. Man, Geek, you've got the projects going. It's very admirable. Think about starting a band when I do. I can't play guitar. Guess I can be like story of the year and only sing. Oh, okay. Not super familiar, but I do think I know what you're talking about. I mean, if you can sing, you can sing. That's not, that's not something to sneeze at. That's cool. That's very valuable to, high school bands, garage bands, etc. So I would say go for it. I mean, at the same time, learning guitar isn't that bad. It depends on what you want to do with it and what kind of stuff you want to play. But there are plenty of ways you can play simpler stuff and still have a lot of fun with it, or still have it be sort of effective, especially for something like a garage band as opposed to some big professional operation, But yeah, certainly worth trying out. I think that's neat that you're looking to try that out. And yeah, and there you go. And like we were saying, you can press some CDs, cash in on the nostalgia, or you could copy some tapes. If you've got a double deck somewhere, you can copy some tapes from an original and sell those. It's not too bad to do. Yeah, it's not the best brush for the situation, but I think it looks fine. I should lower the opacity as well. Even smoother, even more subtle. Yeah. But then I needed higher opacity to get rid of the lines. We don't want those sticking out. Okay, so we decrease opacity over time. I'm surprised the program hasn't crashed. Usually crashes when I do some more intricate kind of stuff. And then we lower it, have it be nice and smooth. Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. Oh, we're going past the lines though. Do some cleanup later on. There we go. Oh, there it goes. See? Speak of the devil. Football. Basically, you could learn to play the triangle. That's true. Plus the genre I like. Midwest emo. You don't even need to be a good singer, so that's a plus. There you go. See, I mean, I agree. That was certainly the thing for that genre, is more kind of like first wave punk, is that it's more important to be like earnest and emotionally impactful as opposed to being technically proficient, The idea and the feeling is more important than the specifics of the execution, So yeah, I think that makes total sense. Maybe give it a shot. Yeah. Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of Joan of Arc lately. Joan of Arc and some American football lately, which mostly falls into that category. But anyway, Anyway, yeah, so I guess I'll start wrapping it up. Yeah. Just yet another obligatory apology for bitrate. It's an issue and it makes the stream look bad and it makes me look bad. And I'm dissatisfied with the situation. Um, and yeah, otherwise, this has been pretty fun. This has been pretty good. Anyone watching after the fact, I do recommend just keep it a podcast. Just keep it a podcast. Just listen, keep it in the background. I think that works okay. But yeah, I've had a good time with it, and I'll move on. And I need to get some work done and stuff here, but yeah, it's been very nice. And I hope that everybody is heading into a nice weekend, a nice positive weekend, productive weekend if you want it to be productive, a lazy weekend if you want it to be lazy. And yeah, anyway, yes, also mentioned I am working on that next video. It's just down to a ton of editing that has to be done. So we'll get to that. But otherwise, I will try my best to do a stream next week. Who knows at this point. We're going to try some things out. There are some options left, I'm sure, that I just have to discover. But yeah, still happy to hang out. Have some casual chatting with the chat. Cool. I think that's about it. Awesome. Yeah, thanks everybody for coming out live. Thank you to anybody watching or listening to the stream after the fact. I really appreciate it.